I'm Matt Smoot. I'm a technology integration specialist with Plymouth-Canton Community Schools. So I know a lot of you here, but I want to introduce Dr. Deirdre Brady, our Director of Curriculum, Professional Development, amongst other titles for Plymouth-Canton. So Deirdre, take it away.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. It's nice to be here. Nice to see you. Matt and I were in conversation with Judy. Sounds like at one of the previous meetings, Judy and Matt were talking about what we're doing in our district with asynchronous professional learning. And that led Judy to asking if Matt and I would come to one of your meetings and just share what our process is and kind of our journey. So that's what we're going to do this evening. And so I want you to know that this is a 2.5-year thing. So we started small, and we're going to share what we started with, and we're going to share where we are now. So, and a little bit of how we got there and some tips and tricks along the way. I'm going to start by saying every district's very different. And I know that each of you have different roles and responsibilities, and you have different people guiding your curriculum. So it looks different. This works for us. And we just, as we go through, please ask questions. We want you to ask questions. So there's a small enough group, literally you can just interrupt me talking. It doesn't bother me at all. This is not some formal situation. Or throw them in the chat. Judy will watch the chat, and I'm watching the chat while Matt shares. So we want to answer questions because we know everybody's circumstance is unique and different. And this is what works for Plymouth-Canton. And we've done a lot of things that maybe we can answer questions easily for you instead of you trying to muddle through if this is something you want to try. I encourage you to work with whoever oversees PD in your district or curriculum and PD in your district, because the partnership between Matt and the technology department, not just Matt, Matt's one of the tech integration, but Matt was my partner in crime to get this started 2.5 years ago. So that relationship between Matt and I is very strong, and we couldn't have done this without each other. So if you have a partner, I would encourage you to talk to them if this is something you might want to try. So Matt, how about you go to the next slide and get us started?
Perfect. So if you have the presentation up, you should see, come to a Slido. I've never used Slido before. I saw it as a presentation. I thought it was kind of cool, free tool. If you don't have the presentation up, feel free to scan the QR code with your phone, and really just question of, have you attended a PD that did not pertain to you or your role? Inside is kind of cool because it'll do kind of like a live kind of thing. So we have 5 people that have said yes. We were expecting this. We were expecting to have kind of more on the yes side. I'd be very interested if someone does say no, and what you all have done.
And we'll let some more people as they stay on that screen for just a minute, Matt.
Sure.
One of the things you're going to see as we go through is the focus that my department, and in partnership with technology. So I consider Matt part of my department. So when I say my department, I'm including Matt. Part of what we focused on in my department is making sure that what we are doing for teachers is the same as what we're expecting for them to do for students, which is effective professional delivery. And we expect the teachers to have effective delivery with students. And a lot of what we found in communication with us this was prior to the pandemic, was that we probably as a district were not hitting the mark on everything that we needed to do. I would say that a vast majority of the teachers in Plymouth-Canton, although we didn't do a survey like this, but the vast majority would also be saying yes, that it didn't pertain. There was a mandatory that didn't have anything to do with them. Or some of our teachers who are teaching auxiliary courses, so our CTE programming, a lot of times things don't pertain to them, or special education staff. And that was a concern for us. And it was one of the instigators to move us forward. So you can see with the 12 people who did the poll, every single person has gone to something that didn't have anything to do with them at all, which, we don't have that kind of time to ask people to come to things that are not usable, especially when we're talking a 6-hour PD day. That is unfortunate to have 6 hours in that space. You can go to the next slide, Matt. So we have three main focus areas that we're going to talk about. And Matt and I are going to go back and forth because Matt's going to talk a lot of the behind the scenes tech kinds of things because you don't want me doing that. And we're both going to talk about the setup and the organization because we did that together. We're going to talk about one district. This is just what has worked for us and how we use an asynchronous platform to do our professional learning. We also are going to talk about how we engage staff in that process. It's an extremely important component of what we do when we're talking about engaging staff in their own learning and having something that is pertinent to every single staff member, like in what you just did in the survey. We want everyone to be involved. We don't want it to be, I got great PD, you didn't get great PD. We want everyone to have that opportunity. And we're going to talk about all the processes and structures that we use to make sure this is not a one-off, a one-time thing. We're going to share all of it's really structure. It's really the structure and development of everything we've created to make this be something that is positive and sustainable for everyone. So we have, Matt, I'll start this and then you can,
Sure.
that bottom one I want you to talk about.
Okay.
Our why comes into a part of what I've already shared. We had some concerns pre-pandemic, before 2020, about how the delivery of professional development was happening. I entered my role in the fall of 2018. I was in the district for a couple of years prior to that. And we had a flawed system for professional development, just in general in the district. There were a lot of staff who did not attend professional development. We had a lot of feedback from that was they complained about the district-led professional learning. When I was in a building administrator, my staff members would say they'd rather stay with me at the building. They didn't want to go to district PD. So we had a lot of issues. Before the pandemic, the department, Matt, myself, and other people who work for me, we had conversations about what are we going to do to fix that, number one. And number two, we found we had a lot of trainings that, gosh, I wish we would have recorded that. And then we would have it to use for future people. We have these new teachers coming. Gosh, it would have been nice if we had this done. So we had all these conversations about, we need some kind of a legacy PD portfolio in order to be able to reuse PD in future years. We also then, like all of you, hit the inability for face-to-face training in the fall of 2020. We did not come back face-to-face that fall. We were in a remote situation and we did the best we could opening week. It was synchronous. It was okay. It wasn't great. We had a lot of sitting for that 6 hours with a screen live like this, which is okay in small doses, but we've done a lot of Zoom. And we knew that Zoom PD was not something sustainable that we were going to be doing long-term. I talked about positive choice-based PD already. And then we had a lot of reflection from that pre-pandemic PD. I talked about this and we just kept talking about it over and over. So we wanted to do something. We knew it wasn't working before. We had this opportunity. So what were we going to do? And Matt, I'll let you talk about Canvas.
Sure. So we were looking at a district-wide LMS for even before the pandemic. You know, I had met with Dearborn, with Amy and Bob. They were talking to us about Moodle. We were Google Classroom users, so we had, you know, various ones. But we knew that for COVID time, we needed to have a consistent K-12. So we brought in different companies, and we ended up going with Canvas. And you know, I had used Canvas at the University of Colorado, and was very familiar with it, and then for my graduate degree. And I was like, and thinking, you know, if we want to be able to showcase and show exemplars of what, you know, we want students to do with kids, if we could do something like that with teachers and professional development. So, you know, Deirdre had actually brought it up, you know, and then I just kind of, I don't say no to Deirdre. You know, I'm very good at making sure that I honor her requests, no matter how crazy they are. Not to say that her requests are crazy.
They're not that crazy,
No,
but I did kind of just sidle up and, you know, into his office area and said, I have an idea. And what do you think about, we use this for professional development. Would you be willing to try? So that was, you know, August, like I said, went okay, right, Matt? It was okay. We did Zoom stuff. It was okay, but it certainly the number of personnel we had to run live sessions is not enough, right? For 12, we have 1,200 teachers. So that could we use the Canvas? And Matt, I remember distinctly Matt's answer was, I don't see why not. And then we planned, and that's what we did. And that's how we got started. It was basically an idea. And what do you think? Thanks, Matt, for not thinking I'm crazy. So here is this year's PD plan. So I want to just highlight a couple of things because we're going to talk about this in the context of where we're going, and it will make sense to you if you can see what our PD. Here's every single one of our professional learning days for the year. So you can see we have 3 that's opening week, and then we have 4 other ones across the time. You'll notice that some of them are asynchronous and some of them are not. So if you look at August 31st, it's PLCs focused on curriculum and instruction. That's live. You'll see September 1st was live. You'll see March 6th is live. Then you'll see the other days say that they're asynchronous. And so those are opportunities for teachers to choose what they want for their professional learning. You'll also see on the October 7th day, it says completed on October 7th. They had to complete it on that day. It was a student count day, so it had to be completed that day. But you look at the November day or the February day, it says a window of time. I'm going to talk about this later, but we give a window of time sometimes if it's not a student count day for teachers to complete. Again, adding to that component. I'll talk more about this later. But you'll see that we don't do only asynchronous. We do a mixture of professional learning for our staff because we do value the face-to-face time. We value building time. And we know there are going to be times that they don't get choice, that we have something from the district level that needs to be trained, and we are going to make sure that that occurs. So we just wanted to point out, kind of keep this in your mind. This is our framework for the year.
So when we first got started with Canvas, we really wanted to think about, okay, so we have these courses, and what is going to be the best way to showcase the courses that we have and to be able to kind of give that choice for teachers. And so our goal at the very beginning was to have 15 courses. So the first thing that we did was that we created a spreadsheet, just a simple Google spreadsheet that we sent out to the teachers. So we sent this out to all 1,200 teachers. And you can see here, the name of the course, the description of the course, like what the course entails, how many sketches they could earn, who the intended audience is, and then a link to self-enroll class. So in Canvas, similar to Moodle, similar to Schoology, you have this code that you can use where kids can kind of self-enroll if it's not built into an SIS. So for teachers, they can click on that link and they'd be automatically enrolled in this course. So this is great. So what we ended up doing so this was November of 2020 is when we rolled this out. And
so this is our first try.
Yep,
This
yep.
is what you're seeing is what we first did.
Yep. And so there was basically, sorry, that was kind of quick, 34 courses that we offered. And again, we have a larger team, right? So I think there was 12 of us, I think, that had created these courses. And this spreadsheet was nice, and it definitely served a purpose, but we wanted to be a better experience. So we tried to think about, okay, so we had the kind of idea, okay, so if I'm searching for a course, what if I teach a certain subject and that wasn't available, or if there's something that I'm interested around, just my particular grade level, like maybe focuses on second grade or focuses on third grade, how would I be able to find that? And the spreadsheet, we publish the spreadsheet, but as we're growing and we're getting, again, 40, 50, 60 courses, that spreadsheet goes on and on and on. So we wanted a better experience. So we reached out to Canvas, and they have a product called Canvas Catalog. And so I'd like to show that to you now. So this is what Canvas Catalog looks like. So basically you have all the different courses available. So here you have the name of the course, how many sketches it provides. When you actually click onto the actual course, You can see, you get a little bit of information up here. So again, you got the number of hours, the prerequisites, if there's a prerequisite to this course, some of our courses, you know, I had a Canvas 2.0 and then a 3.0. Teachers need to take that 2.0 before they can get to the 3.0 kind of a thing. So kind of basic versus intermediate. Again, subject area and then grade level math. And then scrolling down a little bit, again, we got a description and then who was the designer of the course. So in this case, this is Kathy Williams, who's our mathematics curriculum coordinator. And then as a teacher, I can just click right here on enroll, or I can do this, add to a cart similar to Amazon. So as I'm going through these courses, I can just kind of add them to a cart. And then at the end, I check out my cart, and then I'm automatically enrolled in X amount of courses. But what was really unique to Catalog that we really liked was that we can do things by categories. So for example, if I know I wanted to just look at ELA courses, I simply click on ELA and it's going to show me all the ELA courses. I can also search by keywords. So in this case, Catalog, the backend uses tags. So if I want to, for example, reading workshop as an example, I can type in reading workshop, and here's a course that's directed to reading workshop. Deirdre, I don't know if there's anything more to the Canvas
Well, and I just want to
catalog.
point out what you're looking at is a year and a half after what we started. So you saw the beginning, we started with a spreadsheet and that it worked fine. And depending on, your district might want to roll four courses out and they get to pick 2 of the 4. So yeah, spreadsheet works just fine for that. We just got to the spot where we had so many that we needed to use. We started playing with the website that we were building ourselves, and it just wasn't going to be as nice as what Catalog had, which is why we're using Catalog. So we're showing you a Cadillac version, but it can be done even if you don't have Canvas. Matt's going to talk about ways you can do this without actually subscribing to Canvas that could also work for you. So besides alternative to Catalog. So I want to talk about the alternatives there, Matt, and then we'll talk about alternatives to the whole thing later.
Yeah. So as you can see, the different tiles that can be very easily done in Google Sites, for example. You got the different tiles. You just put the self-enroll code right into that tile, and then you publish the site. And again, you can do searching with Google Sites as well. So, you can put in if it's Readings Workshop, if it's high school, 7th grade, however you like, and then WordPress as well. Both of those are free options that, WordPress is a little bit more robust. And I think Moodle could be an option for showcasing the different course catalog if you are a Moodle district. I'm unfortunately, I'm not as familiar with Schoology. I do have to admit that. But yeah, that is also an alternative to that. And then with Canvas Catalog, the nice thing is because there's course codes, we simply just click on this course code and it connects right to Canvas. So that just made the most sense for us.
So that's kind of the general structure that we have for our professional learning. You saw we have a year schedule. We have all of these courses that if it's an asynchronous day, they can choose from, and the teachers go into our website on Catalog and they search and they find what they want to do, and they have pretty much free reign to take what they would like to take. There are sometimes parameters, but there sometimes is a must asynchronous course that they must take, and that's communicated to them, but often it's open. So a lot of questions that I get is where do you come up with ideas for your courses? Because at this time we have over 200 courses in our catalog. Some we have launched, some we have pulled back. We kind of ebb and flow with our courses. We've retired some courses, so to speak, that have done their usefulness and we've now moved past, but they're sitting there in case we need them for new staff or whatever the case might be. We get our ideas in a variety of ways. The first is through classroom teachers. So way back, right? Like when I was a classroom teacher, or I'm sorry, when I was a building administrator, I had teachers, I knew what teachers were asking for. Teachers talked to us, to our coaches, to Matt, to myself. We had lots of things that were common questions, ideas from classroom teachers. We used that. Another place, you could click on district leadership. is we ask our district leadership if they need anything. So what you see here is for this coming February, there is a form for them to fill out because they might have an idea that they want to do, so they can put in their name. They can, we do offer live sometimes because some people like live, prefer live. And so we give them choices. Is this a live course you want created or an async? Who's going to create it? Are you creating it, building administrator, or do you need me to create it? Like, we just ask them, how many hours is it? We have parameters for hours. So we get ideas from our administrators in case that they have some ideas. Also, the curriculum instruction team, which is a team that I oversee, I have a team of 30 people. I include Matt and the other tech integration specialists on that, but there's a team of 30. Yes, we're a large district, and this looks different, but they have a different form that they fill out because they are expected to create courses. There isn't really an option. We don't get to say no when you are part of the curriculum instruction team in creating professional development. So they have one, they have ideas. They coach teachers, they hear what the issues are, they hear what they're asking about. And we always try to make sure that what's happening as a question gets turned into a course, because if that teacher has a question, other teachers have this same concern. So we ask them what contents, description of the course, if they need technical support with Canvas. I have a lot of new coaches. Most of them are fine, but you'll see in a little bit, I have tight parameters for what these courses look like. And so if they need help, Matt can go and help them with their Canvas creation. Most are fine, but we want to make sure that people are feeling comfortable. I personally review other districts' PD. So a lot of large districts, so think like the Atlanta region, right, where they do it by county. A lot of them have departments that are only professional development. That's all they do because they have 50,000 teachers right in the county and Atlanta. It's crazy. So I go and I look to see what others are doing to just try to norm ourselves to what other districts have going on. And so some of our courses are ideas that have come from other places. The 3-act math piece that Matt had showed earlier happens to be a course that I saw somewhere else. I'm like, great idea, and I created it. We use a lot of webinars or podcasts inside of our courses because a lot of my team, part of what we do is research. We listen and we think and we process and we watch webinars and we create things. And so if we have a webinar that really moves us, we will put that into a course. One example is a webinar that I participated in called How to Break Up with Your Phone. It was about healthy phone usage as opposed to addictive phone usage. And the author she's an author of a book, or she's a researcher, and her book is called How to Break Up with Your Phone. I turned that into a course for people. So we have courses that are content-based. We have courses that are instruction-based. We have courses that are social emotional based. We have courses that are about personal growth. So we have a variety of things, and we get ideas from webinars. And the final thing is course feedback. I'll show you the form later, but after the courses are done and a teacher takes a course, there's a feedback form they give us, which you'll see in a little bit. And we ask them what they want to see. What do you want? And we get a lot of ideas from those course feedback places. So Matt's going to laugh at me when I say this, but I'm a particular kind of girl. I like things done a certain way. I like things to look nice. I like things to be polished and presented in a way that is professional. And so my staff has expectations that are given from me to them about what things are going to look like. These are the 5 pieces. There's a handout linked in. We're on slide 8. There's a handout linked in there that is for you that you can have. You should be able to open it and see it. And it basically explains why these 5 things are really important when you're creating asynchronous courses. The first is what we call a home page. It's the landing page of a course. Matt, can you present that bigger, please? No, I'm sorry, not that. Can you present the presentation bigger, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So this is a snap out of an adverse childhood experiences course that is the landing page. When you get there, they all are the same format. You see what the course is about. You get told how long that course is to confirm with you. You should be spending 3 hours-ish in this class. It tells you who to contact. Me. I created this course, and so they would reach out to me. Every course we have lands like this so that we have commonality. Because we have so many courses to take, we want you to know this is a Plymouth-Canton course when you land on it. We're basically branding ourselves, right? That this is a course that's PCCS. We don't want teachers to have to worry about where am I going and how's it going to work and where am I? No, every course we have that's asynchronous feels the same way, lands the same way, so that teachers know what's happening. The next thing that is an expectation when we create asynchronous courses is something called modules. Probably if you're using an LMS, it has an organizational system in some way. Canvas, Amy, I see your question. I'll answer that as soon as I'm done with this. Canvas it's called modules. So basically the module is the section. So on this, I have a section in this course that is called this is a different course, not the ACES course, a different course. How do race and culture impact a classroom? And everything under there are the assignments, the tasks that go with that piece of the puzzle. The next module or section is called What's Culture Got to Do with It? And then there's assignments and activities underneath that. Amy's question is asking about the completion of assignments. Who looks at them? Me. I look at them. So we have two ways that we audit PD, and I'll talk to you about that in the past and in the future about what exactly it does. I started being the one who looked at assignments. Now the people who create the courses do a lot of the looking to see. We don't grade it, Amy, because that's not, I mean, that's crazy. At the beginning, I looked at every single thing. And so my staff got really, they figured out really quickly that Brady's not playing. You need to do this PD and you need to do it well. I now don't look at every single thing, but we do look very carefully more at the discussion posts. And then depending on the course, we sometimes look at the output that they're doing. So it kind of depends on the course, what we're looking at. I look at them sometimes, and the people who build the course sometimes look at them. We were much more diligent at the beginning of looking because it was new and we wanted to make sure people were doing it. Now people know, and we are actually I feel like we're in a really good place. I sometimes spot check because the feedback sometimes is odd by people. And when it's odd feedback, I'll go and look because I'm like, well, what were you doing? What did you do in this class? Other people, you can tell by their feedback that they got out of it, what they should have gotten out of it. And I don't worry about those people. So we spot check. My team goes in and checks things. So that's a good question.
And then I just want to build upon this just a little bit. What you're going to notice, and I'll talk about a little bit later, is within modules, one thing that LMS has that's, for example, Google Classroom doesn't have is that conditional release, and where, we can set the guidelines for teachers that they have to do something before they get to something else. It won't even let them get to the assessment and that exit ticket that Deirdre's talking about until certain things are met. And again, I'll talk about that a little bit later.
So we know, for example, Amy, they won't even be considered having completed the course if they miss something, and we get a report that tells us they didn't complete. So that's catalog. Catalog was a game changer for me, which is why I don't have to check nearly as much as I did, because catalog knows if they did or didn't do something. Okay, the next two pieces, I'm going to use the same graphic off of. This is a course on mindfulness. There's an expectation of a balance of task, meaning everything should not just be read. We want a balance of videos or audio, a discussion, a quiz, and a task that they do that they enter in. So I know it's hard to see because it's small, but if you see just a piece of paper, that's a view. You just have to view it. If those top three are views. Where it says, I used to think, that's a task that they need to do. It's actually a page they have to fill out and submit. And again, they don't get credit if it's not submitted and it's not submitted in. The next one down, you can see it says contribute there. That's a discussion post. And again, they don't get credit if they don't contribute. Those I sometimes will go and I can comment back to them, or if whoever created the course will go back and comment to them. So you'll see there's kind of a balance just in this one module, just one section of a variety of different things that they need to do. We don't want them to just sit and read for 3 hours. How boring is that? So we put in a variety of things. One of the pieces that we do with assignments is, and when we've gotten better as we've learned, is making sure that there's space that let's say it's a 3-hour class, that space is not 3 hours of content for them to read or watch. It might be an hour and a half of content with an hour and a half of them applying it for their classroom. And that's what they're giving to us. So we found that when we give them time to apply, what they create is far higher and better because they can then take it and use it in their classroom. So that worry about, are they actually going to do something with the content, is pretty much gone, because they basically are just getting time to plan. This one little concept, they get now time to plan for their classroom, that concept. So we're seeing more overflow into the classroom of the PD that we're actually doing than we did before, number one. And number two, teachers feel higher satisfaction because they just get time to work on something for themselves, and it's considered PD. It's beautiful. It is the best. That is probably the best thing that we did, is made sure that you have a balance in the courses between knowledge acquisition and application for me. And we try to split it about a 50-50 to a 60-40 kind of split. The last component is that I expect is a color theory component. And this goes back to that polished piece. So here's 3 different pages. You don't even worry about what the pages are. My point on those pictures is for you to see that this is all one course, and that course is branded with purple. I don't care what color they pick, as long as it's not red, because red yells at you, and yellow you can't see, but they can pick a color theme for the course for anything else. I do. Yes, I teach my team color theory. It's weird. They go through this whole session about how to create presentations, how you use color in presentation, how you facilitate presentation. I do all that with my team. They've all been trained, Matt included. So this particular course is a course that was chosen with purple, and you'll notice icons, fonts, bulleted points down below, and the learning targets are all purple. It is all very purposefully done. So any course you go into, it might have a different color theme, but it's polished, it's presentable, it looks beautiful. And to answer who make sure that that is done the way they are supposed to after they look at it, I go through the courses. We have a whole process for checking to make sure the courses are correct before we launch them. Are there any questions? I'll pause there for just a minute with anything, not just color theory, but in anything we've done. I know there's been a lot of talking. A lot of brain processing is what I see on the people. Okay, holler out if you have something.
So now I'm going to speak a little bit more to, the LMS and some of the tech stuff moving forward a little bit. And then Deirdre will come back in with some of the more processes and sketches and everything like that. So again, we wanted to have a common platform that teachers already know. So they had their training at the beginning of the year in August of 2020, where there was that live Zoom where they learned Canvas. And one thing that we do at the district, Canvas is an expectations for teachers. They K through 12, we turn off Google Classroom for students. Students cannot access Google Classroom. We also don't allow, we have others, like we have Seesaw and some of these other, different platforms, but there is an expectation, and we actually worked with our union to ensure that Canvas is used with all students. And so teachers having that knowledge and being able to, use it every day, that really limited the amount of technical issues that we had moving forward. And then they can also see, and talking about the exemplars, they can kind of see, okay, so now, and this is great at the beginning, they can see what students see, right? And I know some of your LMSs like Schoology, you can kind of have that student view, so you can kind of see what a student sees. But until you actually experience when you're submitting your own assignment and everything like that, and it's kind of funny, we joked throughout that first year, when you do an assignment, you have to click the big blue button that says submit assignment. Not a lot of people click that big blue button, right, Deirdre? Was that pretty accurate? And so, we go through there and we say, all you have to do is just make sure that's uploaded and click that submit assignment button, right? And so that was an experience. So I'm going to actually come out of here and actually go into some of these things with this course that Deirdre was talking about, and actually going into Canvas so you can kind of see what it looks like. So the first one is assignments. And so going in here, and again, we have this modules, and again, you go in here and you see that when they first come in, and actually what I'll do is I'll just go home and I'll actually show you in student view what they experience. So you can kind of see what that looks like. So I'm gonna click on student view. And as you can see here, all we have available here is modules because we don't want them going anywhere else. So basically what they do is they read the description and they click on start here. And what this does, this takes it to the first module of the course, that first page of that first module. So this is a discussion post. And as you can see here, one nice thing about having a discussion board with an LMS is replies are only visible to those who have posted. So you have to post before you can see someone else's response. And that's really because we want to get those teachers' original thoughts. So they go here, they read this, they look at this video, respond, and you can kind of see here, okay, so what do I do next? Well, they come over here to the bottom right-hand corner and they click next, and that's going to take them to the next page of the course. And as you can see here, I didn't complete that prerequisite because I didn't contribute to that discussion. So it's not going to let me complete this course until I actually contribute to that discussion. I'm going to go ahead and leave student view. So here's what assignments looks like. So in this course, this was the different assignments. So for example, this is an ACES overview, and they have to submit a website URL or a file upload. So when they're ready to submit, and again, I'll go into student view, so you can kind of see what that looks like. Oh, I can't because I didn't complete the module space. But anyways, what it does is it'll show like your Google Drive, or show like a little link where you can go into your Google Drive, submit your Google Doc, or what have you. And then in the assignments, we have different options. So Canvas has a built-in PDF annotation. So I can upload a PDF as an assignment, and then teachers have the ability to digitally write on it or type on it. It almost acts like a Cami kind of situation. So they can almost like a paperless classroom kind of a thing. We also have the ability, so when you come into Canvas, the teachers, I shouldn't say kids, the teachers will get this, what's called the rich content editor. So if they want to, they can submit a video. If they want to create something in Canva, they can create it in Canva. If there's any kind of audio or video, they can submit through any of these different kind of options when they're submitting for their assignments. We talked a little bit about discussion boards, but basically with a discussion, you have the different discussions. Again, you can set it so they have to respond, they have to reply, they have to actually type out before they can see others. But then if you go down here, you can actually see what people, and then you can respond to each one. They can talk with each other in threaded replies. So that's a really, really nice feature. And the other nice thing that's nice about the discussion boards with Canvas is that you don't just have to have a typed out response. They can respond with a video or audio. And because we have the full version of Canvas, there's no limitations on time. You know, I don't know many people that are going to be talking more than, you know, an hour or two, but I guess they could if they really wanted to with their response. In Canvas, we actually also have what's called Studio. Studio is a video warehouse, so it's very similar to Edpuzzle, where I can add questions and quizzes to it. But what it does is it takes YouTube videos and it takes videos that you create and it acts as a warehouse. But what's unique about Studio is it's all embedded within Canvas. So if I take a YouTube video, I can actually go into the video, and then I can actually see, you know, who took that video and how long they watched that video for. So it's a little bit of an accountability. I can see, okay, so they watched this video, but they only watched it for 1 minute, kind of a thing. So you can kind of get a little bit of that feedback. And with Studio, you have unlimited space. There's no, we have, yeah, again, I think actually, I shouldn't say unlimited. It's like 8 gigabytes. So it's like a 6-hour, you know, high definition, you know, video kind of space wise. So, you know, so that's what's really nice about Studio. In the course, and sorry, I apologize. I'm kind of going all over the place with this. With the assignments, what's really nice with Canvas is that you have this speed grader. So when we're looking at the assignments, it's difficult with like things like Google Classroom because you have to go into the Google Drive and you have to double click on each individual one. For this course, I can simply, I have all the, I'm not the author of this course and that's why, but so for example, here's what Shafak had submitted. So I can go through here, I can give a grade, I can give a comment. What's also nice is my feedback. I can actually give an audio or video comment as well. So it doesn't have to be just, a typing out comment.
So we don't, I'll add that we don't usually grade it.
Yeah,
but there are,
you
don't, but there are a couple courses that have a permissions component that they have to do something first and they get permission to move to the next step. And I do use the grading to show them that they're successful with step one and they can go to step two. Most courses we don't grade, but we do use it in unique courses that need it.
Last thing I was going to talk about in the presentation, it talks about SISID, so that's Student Information System. Basically, it's this number that's up here. What's really nice about this is each course has its own SISID. And so when we get ready for next year, all we have to do is put these SISIDs in a CSV format that Canvas approves. We put them all in, and when we submit it, all that course content and all those courses translate to the next year automatically. So we're not having to copy each additional course. Everything's done all at once. And so that's what's really nice. Again, you have that conditional release with modules, having that direct Google integration. Canvas has what's called Google Assignments. So it's very similar to Google Classroom, where it has the originality reports. It has the, if you create a template as a Google Doc, you can have a copy it makes a copy for each kid. For each teacher, I keep on saying kid, I apologize. And so all that is already done. It gives you access to a Google Drive, just like a Google Classroom. So you can see the process. It automatically shares it with you. So Google Assignments is directly built in with Canvas, which is really nice. The LMS also allows for more advanced analytics and accountability. We can actually see how many hours the teachers have been into the course. We can actually, and that's what's really helpful for sketchies, right? Because we need to be able to prove to the state that this teacher actually was in the course for 3 hours or 6 hours, and they actually did the work and completed the work. Again, more options for assessments. Google Forms. I love Google Forms and the quizzes, but there are some limitations with the quizzes with Canvas. I have a little bit more functionality in terms of more engaging questions that I can do for my teachers. Again, the personalized feedback with audio and video. And then EDU App Center, I'm not sure how many of you know about this, but EDU App Center is basically a list of LTIs and different third-party tools that Canvas and Moodle and Schoology can utilize. So in here, again, you have like YouTube, Edpuzzle is in here, IXL. So if your district uses IXL, and basically what this does is it shows just the different third-party LTI tools that can be used with every platform. So that's just a little bit about the third-party tools and everything.
So we really are not Canvas ambassadors. Like that's not what we do. If you might go to the next page, we are not saying that you need to purchase Canvas. That's not what we're saying, because there are options. We have a purchase Canvas, obviously, account. But Matt, just real quickly, kind of go through. You don't have to purchase Canvas to be able to do this. Matt will share kind of some ideas on what to do with that.
Yep. So there is a free version of Canvas. So we understand that a lot of districts utilize Google Classroom. Google Classroom, could use in this situation, but as you start getting bigger and you start getting more and more people, it can sometimes be a little bit too much for Google Classroom. The free version of Canvas actually has a lot of great resources that you get for free. So again, you can utilize, you have the announcements, you have the assignments, you have the discussions, you have the quizzes, the modules, all that is built in. The file storage is a little bit less, but again, if you utilize that, Edpuzzle link, if you embed the YouTube video, if you don't have, when you have assignments, you do it through Google as opposed to having the Word file or whatever uploaded directly to Canvas, there are some different opportunities for that. We start getting into paid stuff. It talks about Blueprint. That's if you create a template and you don't want the teacher to mess with that template and change that template. So there's different things on here that you do get with the paid version of Canvas. But after going through here, and I can't remember, Judy, who is the technology integration specialist from Wyandotte?
That would be me,
Yeah,
Steve
Steve.
Szymanski.
Steve, yeah. Hey, Steve, how are you?
Doing well, yeah, because we looked at
Good.
this,
Yep.
the free version, and I was very impressed with what's available for free.
Yep. So, and
Really what we do with the paid
Yeah.
version, you could pretty much do what we do. You will have less video usability. There's some of those pieces you'll have to just think through. We put whatever we want to do with videos, we put in, and you have to just kind of think about how to do that a little differently. We don't have to really caution ourselves at all. Your classes might just have to be structured a little differently, but this based on what you saw there, what Matt had and what's free, you could run this without having to have a paid version of Canvas for sure.
And then there's different alternatives. Moodle, I know, is a very powerful open-ended system, and Dearborn here is kind of the experts when it comes to Moodle, and I know they're always happy to kind of talk about it. We got the free version of Schoology as well as the free version of Blackboard. Again, thinking about that, the biggest things are those conditional releases, the discussion boards that really, I think, and again, the accountability and the tracking of the time.
You're not going to have a Canvas catalog, our pretty website, that obviously you have to have a paid version to be able to have that. But other than that, you really could use this in a free version way. Okay, sorry, Matt.
No, you're fine. And Amy, I'm interested in this Articulate 360. I've never heard about it, so that sounds cool. So again, we don't have to talk about that now, but so just some tech considerations. Obviously when you're choosing a platform, you want something that's going to be device agnostic. Your teachers are going to have Chromebooks, they're going to have iPads, they're going to have phones, they're going to have PCs, they're going to have Macs. So you want to make sure that whatever you get is device agnostic. It'd be nice to have that integration with your current SSO if you have Google, if you're a Microsoft district, as opposed to having a completely separate email so they don't have to remember that other email. Having that backend flexibility is nice. Again, I can simply upload those IDs to a CSV file, and then all my courses come over. And I'm going to be very transparent. Some of this backend stuff, when it talks about API and the CSS and JavaScript, that's beyond me. We have a very smart tech guy. So the tech guy for the tech guy kind of situation. His name is Chris, and he knows a lot of that different language. And so he was very helpful in kind of creating the API and creating the CSS. And I have some different links. I'm kind of being mindful of our time. So I want to make sure. And then what we're going to do is at the end of this, I'm going to send out to Judy, and hopefully then she'll forward on. We're just going to have a folder of just the different screenshots, some of the different handouts. We didn't want to seem too overwhelming. That will go out to you all so you can kind of see some of our processes.
So that's kind of how we use it. I know there's a lot to this, and so we're just trying to be mindful of your time. The reason I kind of talked about this before, the structure of those PD days. So going back to that chart that was earlier on about, we have some that are live and some that are asynchronous and some that you do that day. We have very set structures for the use of the asynchronous because we do have to do a lot on the back end. So we have it really, really organized so that we can do what we need to do to be able to get it into the state for sketches. There are really tight considerations now for how PD is supposed to be created and tracked. And I think every district's in a little bit of a different place with that. Some have completely conformed to what the district state expectation is, and some are kind of still moving towards that target. We have aligned ourselves very directly to what the state expectation is. So when it's the day of, so if it is a student count day, they have from 12:01 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. because it's asynchronous. They can do it at any time during the day. It doesn't really matter. And yes, I have teachers who wait for the click of 12:01 and they are on. I can watch, I'm up at that time because I'm clicking things on for them. I can see that I have people in courses, completing courses at that time. It tends to be our high school people. They want to get it done so they don't have to work during the day, which is perfectly fine. So all of the structures that we just talked about, it supports having that variation for people. I have others, tends to be our elementary people, who they sleep in and they don't get started until about 10 a.m. because they're usually a later start. So it gives that flexibility we're talking about. When we have a window of time, those are non-student count days. They're just days of PD, but they don't count as a student day with the state. And so we give them 2 to 3 weeks window of time. It usually falls, November, the election day, we give them time so we can make sure there's no stress about going to vote, where they're not on site for voting, because all of our schools are voting sites. So we just kind of give that window of flexibility. So no one's stressing about getting to polls or standing in line, or, sometimes depending on the year, it can be very stressful. That allows staff to be super flexible. So I'll give an example of this February that's coming up. It's a Friday, the PD day is Friday, and then they're off on Monday for that winter break time. A lot of our staff take advantage of being able to do a four-day vacation, or if they go down south, they go wherever, it doesn't matter. They take opportunity that time. So instead of having to then pause a vacation to do their PD, they can do their PD the week before on the weekend, or they can do it after school for an hour and then the next day for an hour, and they just keep picking it up in a little bit of an hour at a time, and they do their 6 hours of PD. It's highly personalized, highly flexible. And I don't care if they do it at 2 a.m. on a Saturday, and I don't care if they do it finish it at 11:58 p.m. on the last day, as long as they get it done. That has been the highest reported positivity from our PD, is the flexibility and that we're respecting them as professionals. So the backside, to make sure that they get sketches, is what we call in our district auditing. We audit the PD. So there is an analytical piece that comes out of catalog, which is lovely, which helps me immensely. And we have to make sure that the PD is actually done. We have to make sure that they have spent the time. So there's multiple reasons for that. Number one, we can guarantee that they completed the PD. That's very important, which is why we have those parameters of you must complete pieces before you can move forward. Or we can say on a quiz, you have to get a 70 or 80% on a quiz, or you don't consider that passing. For the state auditing, if the state were to come in, we're a sketch provider. So if the state were to come in and say, as a sketch provider, we're auditing you, which they do. We have teachers audited every year. We have teachers audited for their sketches. We have very clear record of who did what, when they did it, when they submitted it. We have all of that. There is no issue at all to prove that somebody has or has not done something. If we get audited as a sketch provider of the whole district, and what will happen is they'll come and they'll say, they're going to randomly pick 10 teachers and say, how do you know they did their PD? And Matt and I literally will be able to sit down and say, which teachers do you want? And I have everything ready to go for them. Our process to do that is to take the analytics that come from catalog, who actually completed courses, and it tells us who those people are. And then I take the exit ticket. Matt, if you could click on that. At the end of every course that Matt just showed you in Canvas, there is a survey. Can you zoom in on that for me? There's a survey that the teachers fill out. We know what course they took. We know when they submitted the exit ticket. It's all time stamped. We have their pick number. And then we ask them 2 questions. Scan to the right, please, Matt, so we can see the questions.
Yep, sorry.
We ask them what's the best part. They categorize the PD for us on a scale of 1 to 4. So you can see somebody wasn't happy with the shift in teaching whole language. World language. They don't like that. That was a 2. A 3 and a 4, you see a lot of the courses that are just sitting there right there are 3s and 4s. So we ask them what's the best part, because whatever is the best, we want to keep doing that. So if the best part is the video we saw, if the best part was the ability to have time to plan something for my classroom, doesn't matter what it is. We want to do more of that to make sure that it's meaningful. And then is there anything that can make the course better? You'll see there's some no's sitting there, but we sometimes will get, I need the version 2 of this. I need the next steps of this. I need that's where Canvas 3 came from. We were not doing Canvas 3. We got Canvas 1, we got Canvas 2, we got Canvas face-to-face, we got Canvas. But somebody said they wanted Canvas 3.0, so Matt created Canvas 3.0. So we get ideas from the teachers from this. I sometimes email directly, but I read every comment. And then whoever created the course, they read their comments too, because they might have to tweak the course, change the course, that kind of thing. We sometimes will email people and say, I saw you said this, can you tell me more? Or tell me more about the idea that you want. Just so we interact with teachers in this way. It has been highly, highly successful, because every single teacher, they don't have to put something, but every single teacher in the entire district has an opportunity for every single course they take to interact with us and tell us what they want. Okay, go back to the PowerPoint, please, Matt. So we just make sure that here's who actually completed courses, here's who said they completed courses, and make sure those line up. For the most part, they do. We have a few issues where somebody didn't actually do all the course and we have to tweak through that. I send emails, say, hey, you didn't finish this course, go in and finish. We confirm they did the 6 hours they're supposed to do. If they didn't, I tell them they didn't. And then I just communicate with staff where they are. For the most part, at the beginning, a lot of people thought I wasn't going to check. Surprise, I do. And so now I have maybe out of 1,200 people, I maybe have 50 people I have to say to, you're missing something. It's not very many because they know how to do this now. So the Band-Aid is always hardest at first, right? So that's why you should start with only a couple classes. And we start with more than a couple, but we had staff to do that. Start with 4, give them a choice of 2. It's easier to track because it's small. We now have our processes so down that having 200 classes does not daunt me. I mean, we do it. We know how to do that. Here's an example of what the analytics looks like. So this comes from Catalog. You can see we had 3,396 enrollments. We had 2,600 completions. Don't panic about that change in number. The reason it's different is because people have big eyes and they register for a bunch of classes that they don't have to take them all. They always see more. I mean, I get a lot of comments about, I saw 7 I wanted to take. So that always happens. They don't have it completed.
And this is in the back end of Catalog. So
yeah, this is the back
one of the nice things is, and this is on analytics, I can search by a certain course. I can search by a user. So that's where Deirdre was talking about, if a teacher is getting audited, we can actually go in and we can say, hey, Matt Smoot, I noticed that you didn't take this, this, and this. It's time. We have to do it by the date. And then we also download it as a CSV export.
So that benefit of the purchase does allow us to do that. And it does save us an inordinate amount of time. So then you can see here, we blocked out names so to keep the privacy of our staff, but you can see that there's some not completed. Well, I then have to say to them, you're not done. You need to go in and finish. And the rest of the people you can see, they're completed here. We had another way we used this was we had a discipline issue with our African-American students being over-identified for discipline, and we got cited by the state on that. So we had to do a course for all of our administrators about discipline protections. Awesome. We ran it through Canvas. We could see every single administrator who did it or didn't do it. Like, we already had that structure in place to be able to do it when we had a state complaint. Awesome. We can see when they did it. So this is what we use. I can see exactly who did what, when they did it. We cross-check the 2 docs who said they did it and what actually happened. We cross-reference and check that. We have a few issues always. We always have some issues, of course, but it's easy to see who actually did what they were supposed to do. We do change the courses. So like I said, we go through that review process and we look to see what teachers say. If there's a link that's broken, if there's a video that didn't work quite right, if there is a hiccup somewhere, they tell us. They're very vocal and they tell us very quickly when there's an issue. So we make sure we change that. We have a set of look-fors to go back and make sure that it's the way it is. Again, like Matt said, we change those. Are the links still good? There's just certain things we look for to make sure it's going to happen. The change process is based on the issues we see, but also we add resources. So I sometimes have teachers say, could you put this in a course? I have a mindfulness course that we use that I created, and I had a couple things that wouldn't link anymore, or it didn't take them to the right spot, an article that wasn't available anymore. So I went in and changed it. an added new resource to it. So it is kind of an ebb and flow. Again, my job is curriculum and professional development. So it's part of what this is really what I do. Matt does the break and links and those kinds of things that are more techie. I do the pieces that are more content based. So that's why that partnership works really well between curriculum and tech. You know, there's pros and cons. there's pros and cons to doing asynchronous professional development. And for us, the benefits have vastly outweighed our challenges. I would vastly. We have high engagement with staff. So whereas we would have a lot of people take off days or just not show up to professional development pre-asynchronous, we now have our participation rate, it varies. Of course, each day looks a little bit different, but our participation rate in PD is about 90, it varies from about 93 to 95% of our teachers participate in professional development. We do not have a lot of people who take off days. They can, that's their choice to take off the day and not get the sketches. That's their choice. But we have a very, very, very low percentage of teachers who do that. For the state, for that to count as a student count day, we have to hit 75%, but we are typically at about 95. Our positivity rating from the courses is at 97%, and that is consistent. Pre-COVID, we didn't do as good of a job of checking, but I would say we were more like in the 60 to 70% positivity, and we are consistently 97, pushing 98% of our courses with teachers happy with the course they took and felt it was beneficial to their teacher time. We get to control content. So yep, it's all kinds of choice, but it's a very controlled choice. Yep, there's 200 choices, but it's controlled choices. We know what's going out. We know what they're taking. We know what it looks like. We've created it. We can structure and say, you have to do this course and the other course is choice for you. So it gives us flexibility for teachers while we still maintain content. It's all sketch provided. Our sketch programming in our district is very, very good. Choice we've talked about. It has high accountability built in. So if the state comes knocking, I have no fear that the state's going to come to me. Please. I would love them to come so we can show what we do, because I know that I can show what every single teacher has done. I can probably tell you what time they did it, what day they did it, what time they did it, what they engaged in, and I can show you proof that they did their pieces. And the teachers are excited that last one. I got a random email from Sarah yesterday saying, hey, I saw this. Can you turn this into a class for us? This would be great for everybody. I emailed her back. Absolutely. I'll put it in for February. She emailed me back like, I can't believe this is so fast. This is wonderful. Thank you so much for making sure it meets our needs. I get email. I've never got emails before. I've been an administrator for a long time. I never got emails about PD before we moved to this. I now get thank you emails from teachers just saying, thank you for respecting us. Thank you for giving us time. Thank you for knowing we have lives outside of school and that it's better for me to go slow and do this. I don't like sitting for 6 hours. Thank you for letting us do it our way. There are challenges. There's concerns. It takes time. Matt and I have spent in the fall of 2020, Matt and I spent a lot of time together this summer and fall of 2020. And you have to be dedicated and you have to know there's going to be some problems and you're going to work it out and you figure it out and you move on and you're going to make a mistake and it's okay. And we move on. For our friends who aren't good at technology, the getting Canvas under the belt took a minute. We're much better. Like we're fine now, but that first year was a challenge for some of our friends. There need to have some base knowledge of the platform. Like you can't just show up and say, go into Canvas and do this. We had our paras go in and take some courses in Canvas, and that was a little bit of a struggle just because they didn't have as much knowledge. So having the platform already for students and transitioning to our staff was an easy transition. And then the links. We have lots of broken links. It happens all the time. It's just part of what happens on the internet. And so you just have to have a process for how you're going to check. And we have a process and it works very well. Teachers tell us if there's an issue. They email Matt and I regularly, and we just go in and we fix things. Go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say a plug for Canvas is that there is a validate link button. So I can go to the settings of a course and click on validate links, and it literally goes through page by page, assignment by assignment, and actually tells me, it checks the link, and if it's broken, it tells me. I can then go and fix it. And I think Moodle had something like that. Amy, if you can, I don't know if you had, okay, I wasn't sure, or if Schoology has anything like that, but that is a very nice feature that Canvas has.
Yep. All right, go ahead, Matt. Last slide.
Last slide. So some tips and tricks kind of moving forward. Being consistent. Deirdre had talked about the parameters. I talked about the processes. Consistency is really key. So teachers know that they're going to go to this catalog, they're down here, they're going to go to that course. It's going to be automatically in their dashboard once they click enroll. They're going to go through the course. They know they have to submit something at the end, and they know how to do it. They have to do an exit ticket, and they know that if they don't, Deirdre is going to be emailing them, or whoever's going to be,
I send love notes. I send
love
little
notes. Absolutely. Having tutorials, as an example, with a mandatory course that we had this past year, we were doing the PDF annotation, and that was part of the assignment. Early on, as teachers were doing it, we were getting like assignments back that it was like, it wasn't right. And we're thinking to ourselves, okay, so maybe they don't know how to use the annotation feature with PDFs. They don't know they just have to click on the little T button on the top and then type in the PDF. So literally that day, or within 5 minutes, I created a quick tutorial, step-by-step, and a video, and we put it right in that Canvas course into that assignment, and then they could view that before they did the discussion post. So having tutorials and everything has been really nice. Being as organized as possible. We have a spreadsheet that has all the list of all of our courses. It has a description. It has an SISID number. It has an API number. It has all these different things that we can cross-check. So it's really nice to be organized. I talked about this earlier. Having someone that knows like CSS, JS, HTML, API, all those different acronyms is really nice to have. And that's actually something that I'm kind of just doing on the side, just building up my own capacity. But it's really helpful to have someone like that that can help with this. Following up with participants, just like with regular PD, having that follow-up is key. So I know for a lot of my courses, they'll take the course, and then what I'll do is I'll email them like a month later, say, hey, have you been able to implement anything? We have a Canva for education. My Canva courses, Canva 1.0 and 2.0, have been very successful. And part of that success is I'm following up with people and saying, hey, I saw this with your assignment or your discussion post. Just want to check in on this and see how you're doing with that. And that's,
and I would
really,
say
really nice.
a lot of you have district instructional coaches. That's who's part of my team who helps create some of these. The coaches follow up with the people at their level. So if it's middle school, my middle school coaches will follow up if they see a comment about something. So it actually gets us into classrooms too for coaching scenarios, because we know what they've taken. We know exactly what they took, and we know what they think about it. So it gives us an opportunity to really partner behind with coaching.
And the last one is, and I can't emphasize this enough, start small. Some of our courses are literally, there's a homepage. We then embed a webinar that we saw. Maybe it's Caitlin Tucker, maybe it's Liz Kolb, maybe it's, they put that webinar. Yep. We put the webinar in, they press play. Next page is the assignment, respond to it or put your application, and then the exit ticket. Now those courses, they take us 15 minutes to actually create the Canvas course. Before, maybe last year might have done half an hour, 45 minutes as we were learning the courses. But it's just something as simple as that. And again, then you're getting the analytics, the teachers are getting choice, and it's nice and simple and easy.
That is the easiest way to start, is to use webinars. Our courses we have 3 length of courses. We have 6 hour, that would be a whole day. So mindfulness is 6 hours. We have, 15 to 20 courses that are 6 hours. We have many, many courses that are 3 hours. And then we have courses that are 1.5. So we did it in chunks that add up, right? We're smart. It's easily add upable, right? We have to it. The 1.5 hours are our most popular courses because it's a snippet. It's one teaching technique. It's one idea to integrate technology. It's one social emotional concept. And then it's an application. So don't think it has to be, it doesn't, our teachers do not prefer the 6 hour courses. They prefer snippets. They can get flavors of different things. Our most successful courses, most taken courses are now our 1.5 hour course.
Well, and to that point though, we also do have teachers that are needing more of those sketches because they're coming up on their year where they have to recertify. And so sometimes we will see at the end of the year, because teachers can take PD right now. We have ongoing PD where they can take that 6 hour, they can take that 3 hour, because they know they have to recertify this year. So at the end of the year, we might have some more 6 hour courses because they know they have to meet that 150 core sketch number so they can recertify.
Yeah, thanks, Matt, for bringing that up. Our catalog is open all year long. So a teacher who didn't get the right amount of sketches or was out on leave or forgot to submit something to the state pre-2020, not a problem. They just go in and take more courses from us. We allow them to do that, and we have approval from the state to do it. So that is our 2.5-year journey in as short of a time frame as we could try to give it to you. I know it's a lot of info, but we again would welcome questions or comments, or if you have feedback for us, like, hey, have you thought about adding this, or do you have courses for that? Like, we're open, obviously, to hearing feedback as well. Matt, can you stop sharing just so that we can see people?
Oh, sure. Yeah, makes sense. Can I stop sharing? Maybe.
Somewhere.
Sorry.
I'm going to go to the top and I'm going to stop your sharing. How about that?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Amy, did you have a?
Yeah, I have a question. Sorry, I couldn't answer that one Moodle one because, we're now officially a Schoology
You're
district.
officially Schoology. Yep, I know.
So while we're still have our hands in Moodle, with the new version coming out, we're waiting to update our servers until we know it's not going to disrupt the teachers who are still using it. So anyway, can we go back? Can you tell me again about on your PD days? So district-wide PD days.
Mhm.
Did you say that your teachers do not have to report?
That's an excellent, I didn't say. So,
Okay.
So it depends. So basically that sits in my control. We don't have anything in our contract that says they have to or don't have to. So we just decide. Most asynchronous days, I don't have them report. I am respectful for, they can. If they need the internet access or it's more stable at work, of course, we never tell people that they can't come in. But we allow people to work from wherever. So the November day, that was a window of time with the election. They had 3 weeks to finish that day. They could do it from anywhere. I was doing PD from Florida part of November. So in February, it will be the same thing. A lot of people will be gone and they can do it whenever. They can also do it during, if they want to do it during their planning, they can. What they can't do is do it during a regular day, like kids do something, like we don't let them do that, obviously.
Right.
It has to be, these are in addition hours to their regular teaching time, but they can do it from wherever, whenever. Opening week, we had some asynchronous, and we did say they needed to come in because we wanted them there from a camaraderie and to at least they're with other people in the building, but they weren't happy. Like they like when it's PD and your PJs. That's what they like. Yeah.
Okay, so then you just keep track of that. Like if it's one day, say it's election day, they don't report, and then they have 3 weeks to finish like 6 hours or however many hours of the school day.
Correct.
They have.
That's
Okay.
right. And again, so there's some tracking, there's behind the scenes accountability of this that is what takes time. The actual course creation is fun and fast. Now we have it down. The behind the scenes, Deirdre spends a lot of time tracking my friends to make sure. I mean, it does take some time. That's why the less courses you do, the easier it will be to track. The smaller your district is, the easier to track. Dearborn, you're like the size of us, right? So that but you probably have staff like we do that would afford you the ability to do the tracking more easily. I'm fortunate. I am super lucky. I have a team of 30 people and we build courses. If you have a small team, you start small, you do webinars, you create a couple, and you give smaller choice. Now, if I went down to only offering 4 choices, I think that they would they'd be knocking on my door because they're so used to so much choice. But if you go from no choice to something, that for your teachers would be refreshing. So I think you find what works and who you have that can help create and then check on the backside.
Okay. We'll probably be reaching out to you guys
Please,
about this.
And I was going to say that Matt and I, not just Matt and I are the faces right now. And we definitely were like in 2020, spent a lot of time and this is how we got started. But my whole team is in, like, we are in 125, 50, 200% into this because it's been so good and so successful. And I've had outside people call me to say, I know somebody who teaches for you and I work in this district and I heard what you're doing. Our UniServe director is like, nobody's doing this in the state of Michigan. This is amazing. So we are so passionate about it and we are so in that any of you, I am happy to come to you, to chat with you, to Zoom with you. You can come see us. I have an organizational mind that just works for this kind of thing. So if you want to help me create, if you want me to help you create the structure for you, I would be happy to do it.
Okay, sounds good. I know Bob Harrison and I, we've been advocating for this for years. Just starting with basic, teachers should have choice in their professional development, because I know Bob and I, we don't get the professional development we have to attend through our district has very little to do with what we do in our district. So we're always looking for our own professional development, but just having the choice, I know gym teachers, how many things do they have to sit through that don't apply to them, and special ed teachers and, even gen ed teachers, there's so much that they could learn. In knowing your strengths and weaknesses, you would know what you would benefit from. So this is such an excellent idea, but also, our push has been for asynchronous because that's the easiest way to provide choice.
It is.
From
a personnel standpoint, trying to give for us 1,200 and you about the same 1,200 teachers and have enough people to present for choice for 1,200 people on one day.
Right.
Is extremely taxing, extremely difficult.
And the facilities, trying to find the facilities.
Yeah, it's just parking. I mean, just all of those pieces are components, and everybody needs my team to be there. Well, we've got just at the high school, how many different cohorts we have, and we just can't. I mean, we did it. I don't think we were doing it as well as we could have. This allows us to just build things. We have teachers who build too. I should have said that. It's not only my team and tech who build it. We do have teachers, they have an idea do you want to build it? And we work with them to make sure that it's going to be good because of all those parameters. But we have teachers who have ideas and they do have courses inside of there as well. So it really, truly, I said this to Judy before we went live, that this is in the top 2 best things I've done in my career. And I'm 28 years in, I'm, pushing retirement. This is one of the top 2 things I've done. It is the best thing I've done as a district administrator, the best thing I've ever done as a district administrator.
Well, it's definitely something to be proud of. So thank you both for presenting.
Thank you.